Are you judging people? And this has been a misconception of a verse out of Matthew 7:1, where you're not supposed to judge. Do not judge, or you will be judged. Okay, but what is the context of that? And are you a hypocrite of this? For many people, they won't even go to church because their excuse is the hypocrisy of Christians. And the sad part is, even some Christians use this as their excuse why they can't go to church. So we're going to look at this legend that has grown over time. Because of the misconception of this verse, a random man on the street is more likely to know this verse even over John 3:16. Matthew 7:1, do not judge or you too will be judged. The context is grossly taken out of place. For many non-Christians have even used this verse against a Christian when they are discerning for what the other might be doing. In Matthew 7:1, the forbidden command is against condemning other people. The Sermon on the Mount calls on Christians to judge others in the sense of being discerning. Jesus then illustrates in Matthew 7:3-5, why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye and pay no attention to the plank in your own eye? How can you say to your brother, let me take that speck out of your eye, when all the time there's a plank in your own eye? You hypocrite. First, take the plank out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to remove the speck from your brother's eye. Here, Jesus wants to make sure you are not criticizing others while tolerating the same or even worse behavior in yourself. How are Jesus followers expected to watch out for false prophets in Matthew 7:15 if they are prohibited from discerning who is false? In the large context of this gospel is Matthew 18:15-20, where Jesus commands us to rebuke believers when they sin. For Jesus' command to not judge is not a demand to be blind to sin. Jesus' own teaching in John 7:24 appears to contradict Matthew 7:1 on the surface. Stop judging according to outward appearances. Rather, judge according to righteous judgment. Here is an explicit command from Jesus to judge, using the same word as in Matthew 7:1. This misconception of this verse, to not judge, is just another lie of Satan. In contrast to interpreting Matthew 7:1 as forbidden against discernment, it is forbidden against an overly judgmental attitude. Jesus' disciples are to be committed to a righteous life, but he does not authorize them to have a judgmental attitude. In the end, we are quick to condemn and criticize another Christian, but we need to be more generous in our assumption of what is going on. We as Christians need to be discerning more for one another. And one way is to continue to learn what God's word tells us and to not take a verse out of context. Because with this verse, if you just keep reading, you'll see is Jesus just wants to help us first check ourselves so we are not hypocritical. Then we can help our brother or sister with the sin in their life. For in Proverbs 27:6 tells us, wounds from a friend can be trusted, but an enemy multiplies kisses. Discerning the truth to someone can be the most loving thing you can do for someone. For a beloved pastor would say, I am not going to love you to death. I'm going to love you to life. In the comments, tell me of a time that someone misinterpreted this verse to you, or that you had to have a lovingly guide somebody. And next week, we'll look into another legend and misconception of the Bible.